Hi, Peacock O'Clock time. I recently had a friend do a video about her birth story, and I have blogged about mine. I can put the link in the description if you want to look at my blog, but I haven't blogged in a long time. But I thought, why not make a video about it? I don't know, maybe somebody else will come across it and want to avoid the experience or have the same experience. Birth cannot be 100% planned, so, because things happen, and that's okay. In honor of 2 of my 3 kids' birthdays, I figured now is like the best time to do it. So this one will be number 3, my baby girl's birth story, and I keep little notes. Each of my kids have a little thing in here, and I keep pregnancy notes in it, the birth story, and then like every so often I'll add. After 1-year-old, I don't add as much. I just don't have time to write everything in, and what do you write in it, what don't you write in it. So so my 3rd pregnancy was pretty rough. My 3rd one was the one that I absolutely knew it was time to have another baby. I knew it, and I knew it was going to be a girl. I did want a girl, but it was a different feeling. Like, it was like I knew. And so that was really big. So we decided, okay, because we were going to wait a little longer, but the feeling was just too strong. Like, I knew it was just needed to happen sooner. And so we were so excited, but oh man, because I was so sick. And then I got like the flu as well multiple times and multiple colds. And so it was just sick upon sick, and it was rough. And I had 2 little kids at home, so I could be lazy, which was helpful. But every so often they would follow me to the bathroom when I threw up, and they'd be on each side of me, and I'm like, can you give me some space here? I survived, and I made it through, and there were some times where I really doubted if I felt that we really were supposed to have another one, because I was miserable. I think I was more miserable than a lot of people thought, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm fine. Either when I probably am not fine. I even watched people's kids while I was sick too, because pregnancy sick, not when I was sick, because it was a good distraction. Like, it was able to make me get up and do some things. It might be the bare minimum of something, and it also helped my kids have something to play with, because I couldn't physically be there. I was pretty sick I know a lot more people have it worse, but this is just my story and my experience. I was sick till 7 months, maybe. I was sick for quite a while. And then I got better enough that I was just like, I guess people will call it nesting. I don't think it was nesting, but I just decided I wanted to get rid of so much stuff, and I wanted to like be sort of a minimalist, not an extreme minimalist. It's just, that's not for me. But I got rid of a lot of stuff, and I organized. And when you're just so sick for so long and then you're finally good, I just like exploded and finally, oh, that didn't work. Just kind of took charge. And anyways, so I was pretty good the last like 2 months. Towards the end, I was getting kind of uncomfortable. My 2nd pregnancy, I was early, and so this time I thought, oh, well, I'm going to be early again. And then I was not. And so I was just like, I can't do this. I have no idea when she's going to come. And there were certain days I didn't want her to be born on, which are silly, I know, but I want each of my kids, if possible, to have their own birthday month. And my oldest birthday was like 10 days after her due date, and so I was like, I don't want her to be born in his month, and I didn't want her to share a birthday with people either. So, I mean, people I know, you don't have full control, but I was just so done, and I decided that if I was gonna be induced, I would do it at the earliest on the due date. And so the day before, I just felt sick. I did not feel good. Normally I'd go outside and walk, but I just did not. Like, I was just done. And I did not feel well. Which makes sense because around midnight or so, I was having consistent contractions. And so instead of going in to be induced, I went in 8 hours early because I was going to have the baby on my own, which I am very thankful for. I did not want to be induced, but I really was struggling. And so I made it an option. But on the due date, not before, because I didn't want to push her out. So thankfully she did come early. When I got to the doctor's, I was, let's see. Yeah, they were consistent at 12, like midnight, so on her due date. And when I got to the hospital, I was 5 centimeters and 80% effaced. They were coming fairly regularly. They slowed down a bit, but because I was a 5, they admitted me. And I was doing really decent with the contractions. I was like, when I knew it was coming, I'd be like, oh no, 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 you know, but I breathed through them really well. But they gave me the option and I took it. I did epidurals with all 3, since I am kind of going backwards here. And I always want to try better the next time, and then I never do. I give in. But I could have lasted longer. I could have done it longer, and I didn't. And when I got the epidural, it slowed down the contractions. So, but I was in labor, so I wasn't going to get sent home. But if I had known, I wouldn't have gotten the epidural, because I was at I must not have written all my details. But I was at like a 7 or something for a while because of the epidural. And so, but one time they flipped me, and all of us, they checked me again, and they're like, whoa, you're wet. And I was like, I didn't feel anything. Because when I get epidurals, I'm completely numb. I do not feel pressure. And this 3rd time around, I found out that's not normal. I'm supposed to be feeling pressure. But when I get epidurals, it takes it all away. I can't move from the waist down. I can't feel anything, which is nice, but it takes longer to recover afterwards because I'm like completely numb for a long time. But so like my water broke, and they're like, did you feel it? And I was like, I have no idea. So they're like, when we flipped you, it must have broke by flipping you on your other side. And so they had me do like a practice push, and they're like, whoop, stop. You are ready, so don't push anymore. And they they were hurrying to get the doctor, and she almost came before the doctor came. Oh wait, no, sorry. So you're supposed to have 2 nurses and a doctor. The doctor and nurse were there, but they paged the other nurse, and they thought they were paging the nurse that was already in there. So I had the baby before another nurse came in because she came so fast. I pushed like 2-3 times, her head was out, and then she just like slipped, just fell right out. And you're supposed to have like one nurse for me, one nurse for the baby, but she came so fast, the lady had to step in and help with the baby. There was a moment where the doctor was there and he was like, I can see her head, I can see her hair. And I kind of got emotional because I was like, he's seeing her before I'm seeing her, but she's mine. And I was kind of sad about that. But he had made a comment that, because I think I said something like, does she have hair? And he's like, yeah. And he said something while she was coming out. He said something like, hey little girl, or he said something like sweet. I have it written down somewhere else, I'm sure, in the blog. And I was just like, oh, it's my baby. Like, I had waited for a girl. So I was really excited for a girl and a new experience with what came with a girl. And I was so sad that he was the one that he was talking to my baby, but I hadn't even seen her yet. Like, she was right there. But they did, they got her to me, put her on my chest. She weighed 8.1 pounds, my biggest baby, and she was born around 11 something in the afternoon, so it was about 12 hours of labor. And I always tear, and this one he had to actually cut a little because he said if he didn't, it would have torn a lot worse. Like, it was just opening up a wrong way, that cutting it, he could make it not as bad as a tear cut like it would have been. So that's always a bummer, but it happens sometimes, and it's okay, you heal. And I do delayed cord clamping, or cutting, I guess clamping too. I let it go until there's no blood in it anymore, and then we clamp it and cut it. She was so chunky. Adorable, like lots of hair. Each kid has had more hair than the other, and she was great though. She was adorable. A fairly good experience. Mad about the epidural. I'm always a little mad about that. And the hospital we delivered at, every baby has been born at a different hospital for me. This was the Salem Hospital in Oregon, and I liked the hospital, but they had rules they were really big on breastfeeding, and they had rules where you couldn't sleep with your baby. And they also didn't take your baby if you needed sleep. They wouldn't take the baby to the nursery. So I didn't fully agree with that. I feel like it's your choice as a mom, because some need that break, and especially if you have other kids and no family in town, you don't really have much options. Like, I had my husband stay with the boys, and so I was alone, and I did not expect it to be as bad as it was for me. One, until my numbness is completely gone, your abs, there's like no abs, and you feel like a little child because you like can't move. And it took me a while, but I was able to pass the things I needed to pass to move to recovery, and I passed it just in time. And so we went to recovery, and my husband came with the boys, and they stayed with us a little bit, but then, we decided that we would let them go home, and he would go home with them. no one came to visit me, which is not, I'm not upset with anybody for that, because you're just uncomfortable as it is to have, unless they were like your bestest friend or your closest family member to come visit. It was just weird to have them visit, and I'm like in this nightgown and can't fully function like normal, and you have to relearn another baby and connection again. And the hardest time was in the middle of the night, because I hadn't slept at all, because like we got there at midnight and I didn't sleep that night up until the morning I had her, and then I'm still awake, and then we stay the night and I'm not sleeping because it's just me and her. She like wanted to eat. I was trying breastfeeding. I was going to try harder this time, and I got her to latch every so often. She latched better than my other two ever did. And my milk came in like really fast, like within that day. Previous babies, it didn't come that fast. But I was so tired. She wouldn't sleep if she wasn't with me, but technically I wasn't allowed to let her sleep with me in bed. And so I didn't have anybody there, and who's up in the middle of the night to call to come help you, you know? So I had a really hard time, and I felt really alone. Because like the nurses come in and you can tell them maybe that you're struggling, but at nighttime they really didn't come in very often at all. And if I'm correct, you could ask them to hold your baby, but they can't hold it that long for you to sleep. So I couldn't really ask that, and I tried to makeshift it so she could sleep with me, and I knew she wouldn't roll out of bed. That's why they won't let you sleep with the babies. But I kept feeling like they were going to come in and find me, and I was breaking a rule. And so then I couldn't sleep because I was paranoid that they would catch me breaking a rule. And then we made it through. I made it through. The pediatrician came in at one point, and she just asked us a question, how are you doing? Or how are you guys doing, or whatever, and I just broke down and cried. And I was like, I'm so sorry, it's just a lot of emotions and I'm really tired. And I was like, I'm so sorry, like I'm fine, she just asked the right question, and it just hit. So I watched a lot of TV that night, and I was just exhausted. Thankfully, we were able to leave. Usually when you have strep B, they make you stay 2 nights to make sure the baby's fine, but I begged to leave earlier if she was doing okay, because I could not stay another night because I was struggling. I was so lonely. And now we know next time, so we'll make it work that if we have another baby, he's gonna stay with me at night, and we'll have somebody stay with the boys, or a best friend will stay with me or something. I feel like each baby takes a little longer to heal because you rip different, and each baby just kind of wears you down a little bit more. And having 3 in 5 years is a lot on your body. And but we made it. We were able to get out. It was definitely one of the lowest points, was just that day or night. So when I got home, it was so much better. I could go sleep and trust my husband and kids to like watch her, and I could just sleep And that was just so good. So good. I wasn't afraid like a nurse was gonna come in and get me in trouble for sleeping with my baby. And one time I called for a bottle at night because I just wanted her to like fill her up just enough so I could sleep and she could sleep. And it messed everything up. So she wouldn't latch after that. She would scream bloody murder. And I've pumped before, so I just went to pumping and pumped for a month or two, and then I just stopped and went to formula. And that time, I always regret that, but I also don't like my body being my body. I know it sounds selfish, and I always regret not fully breastfeeding, but I know healthy mental wise, it's better for me to have me as me. I can take care of my babies better that way. So if I need a day to go away for a little bit, they don't need me. Like I can leave them with a family member or something and take a moment and a break. I will say with my third, after that rough night, I was very attached to her. We're still very attached to each other, and we are very bonded, and I love her to pieces. And we made it a year. She just turned a year on the 24th of May, and we survived the year. She's out of the three. She was a pretty darn good baby, and thankfully we made it. And not a terrible birth story. So I feel like no matter what, you always have regrets to some degree. There's something. It's just such an emotional process that even if you make decisions before, during, or after, something's gonna be upsetting. But she's adorable, and I love her to pieces. So that's my third birth story for you. Bye.